the Rabbid stuff is so cool. So, what was your inspiration for getting the right texture for obviously the look of them?
Well, look at you know, I've been doing toys now for 20 years, and one of the things that you have to look out for, you know, from an expansion point of view, is trying to get sort of a wider audience, right? I think we've been living in that sort of cool 15 and over range for a long time, and doing a lot of cool stuff with it. But there are times when you walk into the retailers and they want stuff that they can sell to a wider audience. So I've been pretty particular, not sort of, you know, going and looking at family product. Yeah, I mean, we did it with Shrek years ago. I remember when they showed me a clip, I went, wow, it blew my mind. So when they showed me some of the early stuff they were doing on the latest game, and what Nickelodeon was doing, I just went, oh. To me it was like the same reaction I had on Shrek. I go, I think this is going to hit kids, it's going to hit teens, and it's going to hit adults because it's just sort of goofy funny.
Have you played Rabids?
A little bit. The kids show me, right? All the kids in the neighborhood play it.
Of course.
So they all came and they go, here, let me show you all my goofy games.
So what's, I mean, you've done so many toys at this point. I mean, what does inspire you beyond, you know, picking up the next thing? Where do you find those inspirations?
Well, you know what? It's sort of an interesting question about inspiration, because just because I like it doesn't necessarily mean we can make it, right? Which is the frustrating part, right? Because when we first started, the country and the economics in North America were different, right? This is before the crash. And what happened with the crash was a lot of these sort of interesting, eclectic stores went out of business, right? Or they went bankrupt. And those are the ones that we could sell, like the Movie Maniacs, and we could sell the Tortured Souls, and we could sell the Twisted Fairy Tale. All the crazy stuff that I could just make up in my brain and put into clay form, we could sell it. A lot of those stores are no longer with us. So now you either have sort of these extremes. You have like the comic book stores and a couple mom and pop stores, specialty stores, and then you have basically big mass market, big box stores. And that middle fell out, which is where you can do all the cool stuff. So now I have to go, okay, I have to look at every license and go, do I want to sell this big time to the mass, or is this something I just want to have fun with? And before, we used to have a lot more fun. Right.
What's the most heartbreaking thing that you wanted to do that just couldn't work? Is there something you can talk about?
No. Here's my theory from Todd, and it only rhymes with God, right? So, is that I think every contract of toys for every company, and I'm completely biased, should have this one line that says, you have the master toy license for Spider-Man, but Todd gets to make one figure, right? Just one, right? You get to do Batman, you own it, lock, stock, and barrel, but Todd gets to do one. I get to do one Star Wars, one Batman, one Thor. I just do one, just so I can just go, here's how I would have done it, right? That would have been different than the way you did it, good, bad, or indifferent.
So, I mean, going back, what got you into the moment that you wanted to do toys? Because, I mean, I was a huge Spawn fan, and of course that's where I first knew you from. So how did you make that jump into making toys?
Well, very quickly, my career started as a comic book artist, and then we broke away from the big two, Marvel and DC, and we started our own company. That was the moment. Once we started our own company, we had to have our own characters, and then we had to license out our own characters. I didn't get a sense when I was licensing it out and Spawn was at the top of the charts that the toy guys quite understood what it was that I had created. You know, it's an edgy comic book, and they were going to put it in their Teletubby model, right? And I didn't think it was going to work, you know, their Disney model, if you will. So I just went, after listening to all their pitches, I thought we had to make non-traditional toys and sell them in non-traditional places and non-traditional ways. And I wasn't getting a sense they were going to do that. So I just said, you know what? We started a company, a comic company, which is just ink on paper at its basic sense. And toys is just plastic in a certain shape. It's not really rocket science, I got to tell you. They want you to think it is, but it's not really rocket science. Just plastic in a certain mold, right? We used to do it with Jello when we used to do those little dinosaur molds, and then pour them out. Toys is a little more sophisticated than that, but not much. So.
Well, I mean, but when I first saw the first Spawn Series 1 when those came out, I mean, no one else was doing anything that looked remotely like that. I mean, that's for me where I was first inspired by the fact that someone could make these kind of things.
It's interesting to me that we've now been at it for 20 years, and one of the things I want to do is get into the sports. So we do football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and we've now won a bunch of awards, right? And the awards come, and they go, Todd, oh my gosh, how do you make them look so realistic? How do you make it look like the guy? And my answer is always the same. The question shouldn't be, how did I make it look like the guy? The question should be, for 50 years, how did they not make it look like the guy? So I'm gonna give a big secret away for any of you guys who are listening. I use this high-tech thing, it's called a camera, and if you point the camera and you push a button, it takes the picture, and the question is, why didn't they sculpt it looking like the picture? So I didn't buy the sports stuff because I had the posters and the Sports Illustrated, and I go, it doesn't look like the picture. All I wanted to do was just make it look like the picture. All of a sudden, Todd, you're a genius for making it look like what it should have looked like for 20 years, but God bless him for dumbing it down for so long.
Well, on the Spawn, I'm curious, what point could there be a remake? Or could we see something in a few years?
Yeah,
as a huge fan, I think some of
the reality is I got a lot of pressure. They want me to deliver the script by the end of the year, which would basically mean we'd be shooting next year.
Right.
So that's the goal right now. I'll be talking about it a little bit at my panel, but it's time to push. The thing that keeps slowing it down is the negotiation I've done is I write, produce, direct.
Right.
But I've got to push a lot of my other endeavors off to the side so I can just get tunnel vision on it. And so everybody at my company is now going, we got to find Todd the time to finish all this because we can do. I think it's a 60, 70 day shoot. I think it's a quick shoot. It's not going to be a giant budget with a lot of special effects. It's going to be more of a horror movie and a thriller movie, not a superhero one. So, anyways, I've got so many people phoning now that I got to get it done. I made some promises to people this year.
I'm sure you heard that there was some interest in someone specific playing
Yes.
Spawn. Yes. So I know you can't talk about casting, but do you have ideas for who you'd like to see in the role?
You know what? We've had some big names, like who you're mentioning.
Of course.
Come to the office and go, we want to be in it, right? We want to be it. And so sometimes they give me their pitch, I give them my pitch. I go, we can get in it, here's how it goes. And so those types of actors, Academy guys, Academy Award guys, they're going, as soon as that script's done, we're going. So once we get this thing done, we'll get it off the ground with some big names. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Pleasure.